Welcome back, everybody. And again, this is the startup of the second class session that will be happening in each of the 5 Saturdays here in April. And our first guest guide for this class is Jack Adam Weber, very good buddy of mine, remarkable polymath, a person who has an immense number of skills, an immense amount of hard-won wisdom, and as I mentioned, a Chinese medicine practitioner and a recent author of Climate Cure. And I'm more than happy to include perhaps, Jack, toward the end, we could also include, contact information for you and a reminder of the book title and so on when we get toward the end of today's session, so that people could contact you after the session as well, or your book if want be. So it's really great to have you, Jack. I'm so excited that you're here. And if I may, just a bit more introduction as to why Jack and why for this particular session. I recently experienced Jack's live introduction to a practice that he came up with years ago called the Nourish Practice. And it is this multi-layered, it seems like a blending of multiple disciplines and framings of how we might self-regulate. It's a clinical way of saying bring ourselves back to center in our daily lives. And I find, I mean, every time I talk with Jack, it's a self-regulation and a co-regulation process in any case. But when, especially in that Nourish practice, I just thought, oh, this is so much richer than those basic, when we just took those simple breaths to remind ourselves what it is at the most essential level of self-regulation back a few minutes ago. And we just squeezed our legs to feel the contact of our body, to bring ourselves more present in our body. Those elements are so basic, it can be a little bit too elementary. And what I loved about Jack's presentation of the Nourish practice is layer by layer, he invites us to be more and more aware of the different ways we can perceive the reality within us and the reality around us. And it's that richness that I just felt like we gotta have Jack here for this. So I know you have a little bit of housekeeping before we get going into the really, meat of the practice. But I just wanted to welcome you first. So hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Dean. Thanks for the introduction.
Yeah.
So let's all just take a moment. We'll close our eyes and just relax into yourself a little bit. Just notice what your breath is doing without controlling it at all. Just notice what your breath is doing. Notice how your body feels sensationally, what sensations are present in your body at this moment. Okay, we'll gently open your eyes. So just by closing our eyes, right, we shut off the visual of the external world and the attention goes inward. And that is what's called interoception, right? So paying attention to perceiving through perception the interior of our bodies. And studies have shown that just the act of paying attention to our bodies in an interoceptive way has a way of beginning to regulate our system. And regulation is a body and mind dynamic by which body and mind come into a kind of harmony together. And that harmony creates what's called, in psychological terms, I get rid of this chat here for a second. So the body-mind harmony creates what's called a window of tolerance. Okay, so if you have a high level of upregulation, which is when our nervous system becomes very activated, that's the top level. And then the bottom level is when our nervous system becomes deregulated. So that's depression, that's sadness and grief, where we go down. And so this window of tolerance is this middle section where we're able to more joyfully and productively feel whole within ourselves and connect with the world in a more whole and regulated or balanced kind of a way. And this definition, or this experience of regulation, is the means by which, I think your name was Terry when you were speaking during the break, right? Creating internal coherence to communicate or to correspond with the outside world. Okay, so the basis of my book, the subtitle is Heal Yourself to Heal the Planet. And what that means is that, as human beings, we just swim in a sea of trauma and stress and dysfunction. And it takes a tremendous amount of work to be able to be a relatively functional human being. With all the shit that can happen to us, all the stuff that goes wrong, our unique dispositions, sensitivities, and vulnerabilities. So the mind-body cultivation practices are a way to create a kind of harmony so that we become compassionate, so that we become decent, and that we can act in ways that are kinder and helpful more often than not. So the Nourish practice is this mind-body practice I developed, and we're going to go through a guided session of it today, and you're going to be invited to do that, and I'm going to guide you through it. And it's a practice you can do anywhere, anytime, and it's just another tool to keep in your toolkit, right? So there's yoga, there's Tai Chi, there's all different kinds of breath work, walking meditation, aerobic exercise. There are many different ways that we can regulate ourselves. And what I find particularly helpful and unique about the Nourish practice is that it integrates a number of different disciplines, as Dean was alluding to, under kind of an umbrella of one practice that's a very static practice, right? So we're not going to get up and move around, and the practice is actually done lying down. And it's a very internal practice, and it's a very soothing and relaxing practice. So people with anxiety, people with somatic instability, or just bodily sensations that may be anxiety, may be due to other things, trauma from physical injury, psychological injury, can find a sort of reharmonizing through the practice. That's been some of the reports, and it's my experience as well. So in terms of Chinese medicine, which I practice, I think we've all heard of yin and yang. Yang is sometimes called yang, but it's actually yang. So in terms of yin and yang, we live in a very outward, right, active, appearance-oriented zeitgeist. And the practice is very yin. So it brings together and amalgamates a number of yin attributes, right? Which is, yin is otherwise known as the archetypal feminine principle, and yang is the archetypal masculine principle. And both are present in both men and women. And so this is a practice to kind of counter the cultural toxicity in which we swim. And the yinness of it helps to replenish us. It helps to nourish the parts of us that are neglected and commonly neglected in the course of our lives, unless we've taken measures to counter it in other ways. So does anyone have any questions at this point, or any comments just quickly? Just like to check in with people. So maybe we should just move into the practice, and before we do that, if you have some earbuds, you might want to use them. You can practice sitting up, but I invite you to find a place to lie down if you can. And if you can bring whatever device you're using to participate here, I recommend like not looking at the screen while you're practicing. Just be able to hear what I'm saying, but you can choose to do whatever you want to do. And if at any moment during the practice you're uncomfortable with anything that's happening, I invite you to take care of yourself, to do whatever you need to do for yourself. But I do assure you it's a very gentle practice. But sometimes feelings and discomfort or whatever comes up for people, and just do whatever you have to do for yourself. So I'm going to give you all a moment to situate yourselves if you need to move or lie down. Okay. So I assume everybody's comfortable. Okay. So the Nourish practice is a combination of mindfulness, of Qigong, which means energy cultivation or energy control. It also incorporates aspects of yin yoga. And it includes sort of neurosomatic aspects of diaphragmatic breathing and activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which we could call the yin aspect of the nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for down regulating our mind and body. And so I described earlier this window of tolerance. And so most of us in our lives exist in an upregulated state. And so what we want to do is we want to downregulate. And if you feel depressed and very down, which is understandable, you may want to take little breaks or not engage in the practice fully, because it is a down-regulating practice. So it's best for anxiety, and it's best for excess mental activity. So diaphragmatic breathing, which we're going to practice, which is an element of the Nourish practice. Diaphragmatic breathing activates what's called the vagal nerve. The vagal nerve is the longest nerve in the body. There's been a lot of study and focus on the vagal nerve lately. So it's an integral and very important part of the parasympathetic nervous system. And it innervates the midsection, the diaphragm area, and our intestines. And so diaphragmatic breathing, which exercises the diaphragm, which is the muscle just at the midsection, just below the ribs, creates a kind of toning or gentle exercising and stimulation of the vagal nerve. So that's just a little bit of the neuroanatomy that's going on here in the practice. Okay. So I invite you just to take a few deep breaths, just normal deep breaths. You can take them in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you do so, just notice the sensation of the breath in your body. Just in through the nose and out through the mouth. Okay, and so to begin the Nourish practice, we're just going to focus at first. We're just going to practice regular diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, so I invite you to put your hands on your lower belly. You can put one hand on top of the other. You can also put one hand on your heart, one hand on your lower belly. And the lower belly is the area just beneath your belly button. And in Taoist practice, that's called the Dantian. And it's an energy center. And it sort of relates to our gut instinct in a sense, and our lower center, our center of gravity, right? The energetic center there. Okay, and I'm going to ask you to breathe into the hand that's on your heart, so that as you breathe, you feel your lungs gently expand into the hand that's on your heart. And before you exhale, just pause ever so briefly and then just gently exhale, and try to make the exhale a little bit longer than the inhale. And science shows that as we extend the exhale, it sends a message to our brains that we're safe, right? If you can exhale in a relaxed and slow kind of a way, our nervous system understands that we're in a safe environment. So, and that's a way to create a sense of safety for yourself. So just breathing into the chest, filling the lungs gently, pausing briefly, and then allowing the breath to release in a slower way than the inhale. Then I'm going to ask you to breathe into your lower belly, so into your lower hand. So just gently leave the heart center and come into the belly center. And do the same thing down there. Gently breathing into the sensation of your hand and on your belly. And then gently relaxing. Again, letting the exhale be slightly longer or significantly longer, whatever you choose, than the inhale. Now see if you can breathe into the hand that's on your lower belly, bypassing your lungs and your chest in a sensational kind of way, meaning that see if you can allow the lungs and the chest to not be so palpably involved in the breathing process. So you can imagine that your lungs are in your lower belly, and that your lungs fill and empty with oxygen in your lower belly. And if you want to imagine in your mind's eye, a little pair of lungs down in your lower belly, you can do that. So typically our chest will rise when we breathe, and see if you can bypass that rising of the chest so that it's just your belly that's doing the breathing. And throughout the practice, the mindfulness part is if any intrusive thoughts come in, or distressing thoughts, or what you're going to do after, the session today or whatever, just gently acknowledge them and let them float by like clouds float by in the sky, and come back to the sensation of the breath and the practice. So now we'll move into the diaphragmatic breathing part of the practice, which is an element of the Nourish practice. So diaphragmatic breathing, the way to activate it and make sure it's happening is that on the inhale, your belly, we're going to be staying down in the belly area. The belly gently expands into your hands, and on the exhale, it gently recedes away from your hands. Okay? Often, through our daily lives, we take an inhale and we pull in the belly. Okay? So we want to do the opposite. So that's the relaxation part, and that helps free up the diaphragm to move downward on the inhale, and then to freely move up passively on the exhale. So into your hand on the belly, you can still keep one hand on your heart. If you want to put both hands on your belly, you can do that. It might help you focus more on your belly at this point. You're going to just allow the inhale to come into the belly, and you want to feel the belly expand into your hands gently. And that means your diaphragm is moving downward and moving the flesh out into your hands. And then you want to allow the exhale to happen, which is passive, and the belly recedes away from your hands. So just practice for a minute or two diaphragmatic breathing, which is what I just described. So it's gently receiving the inhale as the belly expands into your hands, and then gently exhaling, by which your belly moves away from your hands. You want to try to do this in a rhythmical kind of a way. And so that the exhale is just a bit longer than the inhale. So with your hands on your belly, allowing the breath to come in, feeling the belly expand into your hands and then recede on the exhale. And try to keep the lungs soft. Try to keep the chest area sort of out of the practice. So the real focus, both sensorially, in the sensation of what you feel, as well as your mental focus, is on the lower belly area. So our awareness and presence is just resting in the lower belly, allowing the inhale to come and expand into our hands, and allowing the exhale to come and move away from our hands. So just this simple practice of belly breathing is very stress reducing, stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps downregulate the nervous system. brings the energy away from the head and shoulder and chest area into the lower body, which is the yin part of the body. So by gently breathing into the belly like this, we're nourishing yin. That's nourishing the feminine principle in the body and mind. And this is basic diaphragmatic, or what's called belly breathing. So now we're going to take the next step into the Nourish practice. And you can just keep up this gentle kind of breathing as you're comfortable, and just listen to me at the same time. So the Nourish practice centers around what I call 4 home bases. And the home bases are just the reset and the progression of the practice. So it's just the parameters, like the skeleton of the practice. And the first home base of the Nourish practice is to adopt and to embody, right? Embody means to feel and to experience with your whole being a sense of receptivity. And sometimes I like to use the image and the felt sense of receiving a hug from someone that you really care about, or cuddling with somebody that you really care about, including an animal or a pet. Right? So just adopting an experience in your body and in your mind of openness and receptivity, as if you were accepting a hug and something beautiful from someone or something. And just take that first home base and incorporate it into the breathing that we already did. So the way to do that would just be to, as you breathe, as you engage belly breathing, just see if you can include an extra bit of receptivity in that, as if the breath itself were a friend, as if the breath itself were a lover that you welcome in a nourishing way. So you might say to yourself, and I'll say it for you, I allow myself to fully receive the breath. I allow myself to fully receive the breath in a gentle way, in a nourishing and a nurturing way. And along with this openness and receptivity, see if you can feel or add an element of joy, an element of gratitude, that you're able to lie down today in peace and to feel relatively safe and to receive the nourishing breath of life. I receive the breath in my belly, and it feels good, and I'm grateful, and I'm joyous for only this. And so we're allowing a sense of joy and a sense of gratitude to be present in our gentle belly breathing. You don't want to force these qualities. You just want to allow them to be present with the intention of thought or spontaneously, just as the experience of engaging them. So allowing joy and allowing gratitude to be present in the experience if they naturally arise and are present. And now you can just continue to just be in the presence of this experience of the breathing. And I'm going to introduce the next home base of the Nourish practice, which is to adopt a disposition of Shavasana. And Shavasana is a yoga pose, and it's a very static pose, but essentially in Shavasana, we lie down and we release every muscle of the body. We release all thoughts and we release all muscle tension, all kinds of holding. So as you stay present, just breathing gently into your belly, and don't worry about doing it right or doing it perfectly. Just keep breathing into your belly. And I'm going to lead you through a gentle Shavasana practice so that you can go through another layer of release. And as you go through another layer of release, it allows you to receive even more deeply. Right? So as we hold tension in the body, we're not able to receive as deeply because the tension holds it out. So as you're lying or you're sitting, I'm going to use the lying position. Allow the floor beneath you to support every aspect of your body and your mind, so that you finally don't have to hold any of your thoughts together. You don't have to hold your body together. Let the floor support every aspect of you. And allow the breath to flourish as a result of letting go of every aspect of yourself that you don't need to expend energy holding on to. So allow your forehead to release. Allow the personality of your face to melt away. Allow your skeleton itself to release. Allow it to release into the floor and be supported. So you don't have to support your bones. You don't even have to support your muscles. Allow your chest and shoulders to open. Allow your eyes to fall back towards the back of your head. Allow your skin to relax on your face and on your neck and all over your body. Allow the throat to release. Allow the hips to relax open. And the legs. Allow your spine to release any tension it's holding. In the back of your neck, allow it to release. Allow the floor to support the whole of your skeleton, so that you're not holding your bones together, you're not holding your muscles or your thoughts or anything together. Receive the grace of the floor that's supporting you. Throughout the practice, you can just gently do a body survey so that you just begin to practice noticing where you're holding tension unnecessarily and then you just release it. You just let it go. Now we'll come back to the lower belly and to the breathing where we were. With this newfound release, this extra layer of release in our body and mind. We come back to diaphragmatic breathing, where the breath now comes perhaps more easily, gently expanding into your hand, gently releasing away from your hands. With a little bit of conscious pause in between both of them. Just a blip of a pause. Like a ball sort of rolling up to the top of a hill and then pausing and then going back down the hill. And this fluidity creates integration. So allowing the belly to gently extend into the hands on the inhale and then gently recede. As you now notice anywhere you begin to tense up, where you begin to focus too hard. So the Nourish practice is really about allowing, which is a very yin quality. So we're just allowing everything to happen. Your body will keep breathing without your effort and without your conscious attention. That's what happens when you sleep at night. Okay, so we don't have to hold our bodies together at this moment, nor do we have to hold our breath together. We just exert the tiniest bit of regulation to regulate the breath so that mind and body can regulate and come together. And if you find yourself tensing and holding, don't worry about it. Just notice it. You can still do the practice, even holding tension. So the idea is to find a balance between not getting neurotic or trying to be perfect, but just noticing and allowing the best aspect of the practice to flow without getting in the way. And so now just continue to breathe as you are or as you like. And I'm going to introduce the third home base of the Nourish practice, which is really the pivot of the whole practice. It's the crux of the practice. So normally when we're breathing, we are actively taking in this air, right? So if someone says, take a deep breath, you willfully take in the breath. And what I've been trying to reverse and create a different perspective experience here is of receiving the breath. Okay? So the Nourish practice centers and is grounded in receiving. So the mantra or the gentle instruction for this next part of the practice is I allow myself to be breathed by the breath. I allow myself to be breathed by the breath. So what does that mean? So the next inhale that you plan to take or that your body plans to take, just pause before you inhale. Pause before you inhale. Suspend the breath just a little bit until you feel your body's urge to breathe. Your body will want to breathe if you impede it from doing so. And with that sensation of wanting to breathe, you can receive the impulse that wants to breathe you, so that we relate to the innate energy of the body wanting to breathe us as a kind of otherness. And it helps us receive the breath as something beyond us, as a gift from life. And that gift from life is actually a gift from the world of plants, right? That provides the oxygen for us to breathe. So as we connect with the breath that breathes us, the breath that wants to breathe us, we connect with the earth itself, with the plankton in the sea that produce 75% of the oxygen on the planet. We connect with the plants all over the world that create oxygen for us. So with the hands on the lower belly, getting in touch with the sensation of the breath that wants to breathe you by gently suspending or pausing the inhale until you feel the urge of something that wants to breathe you. And as you then allow the breath to breathe you, you receive it with gratitude. I allow myself to be breathed by the breath with gratitude. So just allowing the lower belly to fill with oxygen gently without forcing it. As a receiving of the breath. I allow myself to be breathed by the breath. As I receive the breath as an energy that wants to breathe me, whether I want it or not, and I receive it gracefully. So with the hands on your lower belly, allowing the belly to gently fill with oxygen and breath. And then gently exhale and release the breath. Allowing the breath to come as if it were filling up a balloon in the lower belly, or filling the lungs that are figuratively in your belly for the practice. I allow myself to be breathed by the breath in my belly. As the belly gently expands into the hands on the inhale and gently recedes away from the hands on the exhale. Allowing the exhale to be a little bit longer than the inhale, to encourage that felt sense of safety. And as the breath wants to breathe you, adopt a disposition towards the breath of receptivity, allowing the body to release any tension, to receive the gift of the breath fully, with joy and with gratitude. And in your mind's eye, you can picture the earth, picture the plants, picture the most beautiful places that you're connected to on the planet, a favorite nature spot, a favorite tree, a favorite place by the ocean. And place yourself there. And as you allow yourself to receive the breath, allow that breath to come from the tree or the forest or the ocean. I allow myself to receive the beauty of this tree. I allow myself to receive the nourishment of the earth as I receive the breath with gratitude. So as the inhale wants to come into your belly, as the inhale wants to come into your belly, you receive it. I allow myself to be breathed by this breath of life that connects me to all living things. And the fourth home base of the Nourish practice is to slow the process down. So that if you've been taking 2 or 3 seconds to inhale, take 4 seconds to inhale. If you've been taking 3 or 4 seconds to exhale, take 5 seconds maybe. Just make it a little bit slower. The slower we go, the deeper the practice can happen, and the more your nervous system can relax. So as if you were receiving a hug from a friend, allowing your whole body to relax in Shavasana, allowing the breath to breathe you and receiving it with gratitude and openness, and allowing the whole process to be slow. Encompasses the 4 home bases of the practice. And so we'll just rest in this deep place in the belly right now. We'll rest here and we'll allow this practice to happen. It's a constant letting go. The practice is a constant letting go. It's a constant allowing. And that's what allows for receiving to happen. With openness and receptivity, without holding, I allow myself to be breathed by the breath that wants to breathe me. And I receive it with gratitude in a slow and gentle way. As I feel my belly gently expand into my hand on the inhale and recede on the exhale. With openness and receptivity, as I allow my body to continue to relax and to let go. I allow myself to receive the gentle impulse of the breath that wants to breathe me, as I allow the practice to be slow and gentle. There's one additional home base that I like to include in the practice, which I call a somatic touchstone, and that's a bodily touchstone. So that's just gently allowing the mind and the attention to return to the sensation of the belly, just like we did with interoception when we were practicing before. So it's simply, if you meditation is always about coming back, right? Letting go and coming back to a simple aspect of focus. And in this practice, because it's an embodied meditation practice, we come back to the sensation of the lower belly, the sensation of the hands on the skin of the belly. Just allowing the mind to gently rest there on the sensation of receiving the breath when it wants to come, and then gently letting it go. So I allow myself to be breathed by the breath. I allow myself to be breathed by the breath, which I connect with as the sensation that wants to breathe me. And in that sensation and in the inhale, I receive the beauty of the earth. I connect with love and appreciation to the body of the earth as it nourishes my body. I allow myself to receive the nourishment. And I allow myself to receive the love. And I allow this to happen deep in my body without a lot of effort, just an openness to receive. I take simple joy in the experience. The experience itself is joyful. And just doing a quick survey of the body, releasing any tension that's being held in the neck and the eyes or too much focus. And you might have more than that than usual because it's a new practice and there is some focus. But ultimately, it's a practice that becomes a somatic sort of patterning and remembering. So again, just returning the attention to the sensation of the hands on the lower belly, the somatic touchstone of the lower belly. allowing the head and the mind and the neck and the face to release, just with the attention on the lower belly. And if you notice discomfort in the body, if you notice sensations of anxiety, if your heart's beating fast, any of that stuff, allow it to be present. Don't try to fight it. Just invite it to the party. Allow it to be present with you. Say, it's okay, discomfort. It's okay, anxiety. We can be here together. I'm not afraid of you. And we can rest here together, even if you feel differently than I do. I allow myself to be breathed by the breath, which I experience as the inhale that wants to breathe me, which I receive with openness and gratitude in a slow, effortless way. And if it helps, imagining your lower belly as a balloon or as a pair of lungs, and allowing it to fill and then to empty. Not forcing the exhale, not forcing the inhale. And allowing the inhale and the exhale to flow into one another gently with just a pause in between. And this helps join the yin-yang aspects of the mind and the body. As the inhale is the yang aspect and the exhale is the yin aspect. We want to accentuate the yin aspect of the exhale just a little bit more. We give it a little bit more attention. Now I'm going to invite you to return to your favorite nature spot. Maybe it's the same spot you went to before, or maybe it's a new spot. Just allow the nourished breathing to continue, and just in your mind's eye, go to a place that's sanctuary for you. And if it's not in nature, maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe it's being held by somebody or being close to a pet. Or a mythical figure. But for the sake of embodiment, see if there's a place on the earth that's possible for you. And then just gently identify the nourishing qualities of this thing or person or place. If it's a tree, feel the nourishment and the qualities that are beautiful about that tree. If it's the ocean, feel what's beautiful about it. Feel what's nourishing about it. If it's the earth itself, just hold the whole energy of the earth in your mind's eye. And then as you receive the inhale, allow yourself to receive the beautiful qualities of this place or thing. I allow myself through the breath to experience and to be filled and to receive the beauty of this forest, of this tree, of this animal, of this person. If it's love, I allow myself to feel loved. By receiving the beauty of this thing or person through my breath. I allow myself to be loved and nurtured by the forest. And that nourishment I receive through the breath that wants to breathe me. So that I receive the beauty and the nourishment from something outside to inside of me through the breath that wants to breathe me, that comes from other into myself with gratitude. I release in the presence of this thing, of this place where I feel safe and nurtured. And I allow myself to receive it through the breath that breathes me. And all you need to do is relax in the presence of it and receive it. All you need to do is relax in the presence of it and receive it as if receiving a loving hug. And just keep relaxing and letting go in the presence of it and receiving its beauty and nourishment through the impulse of the breath that wants to breathe you. I allow myself to receive love, beauty, and nourishment from the outer to my insides via the breath that wants to breathe me. I allow myself to be breathed by the breath that wants to breathe me, that wants to give me the gift of life. And I allow this to happen in my lower belly in a slow and gentle way. And in this posture of openness, you can allow yourself just to become the object, become the place where you are, so that there is no separation between you and it. And you allow yourself to be breathed by the breath as the object itself. Allow yourself to become the ocean, to become the forest, to become the tree, to become the earth, so that you breathe as it. You receive the breath as the object of your love. You become the breathing tree. You become the breathing ocean filled with the breath of life that is the thing itself. I allow myself to be the heart of what I love as the nourishment that it already is, which I already am. I allow myself to be one with what I love as what I already am. I allow myself to be one with what I love, which is the nourishment that I already am. And I simply allow it to breathe me. And as I allow myself to exist in the center of this beauty, I allow this beautiful place, this beautiful thing to be, and I merely focus on allowing my breath to breathe me. I allow myself to be breathed by the breath at the center of beauty. I allow myself to be breathed by the breath at the center of beauty. And I'm grateful. And I allow my body to relax into this. I allow myself to receive to the degree that I'm able to receive. I allow myself to slow down with it to the degree that I can slow down. So always we come back to the basic 4 home bases and the somatic touchstone. Relaxing, letting go, being open, receiving the breath that wants to breathe us, and allowing ourselves to be patient and slow with it. And I'm going to let you rest for the next couple minutes in this practice, whatever aspect of it you want to focus on and be with, whether it's just the basic 4 home bases that I shared, or returning to the heart of a place of sanctuary. Allowing the floor to support you. I allow myself to be breathed by the breath of beauty itself. I invite you now to give thanks in whatever way you want to this place of nourishment, to this sacred, safe place of sanctuary. And acknowledge that this place is always with you and you are always with it. To gently take a deep breath. To gently bring one of your hands back up to your heart and keep one down at your belly. And with normal breathing, normal, slow, gentle, nourishing breathing, just breathe into your chest and into your belly together. In a relaxed way. Giving thanks to your heart Giving thanks to your earth belly. Giving thanks to your diaphragm, which connects your heart and your belly. And feeling thanks for your body as a whole, for your mind. Remember that you can come back to any aspect of this practice anytime that you want. And feel grateful to your body and to your mind that you have within yourself a capacity to take care of yourself. And bring your belly hand up to your heart so that both of your hands are on your heart. Take some deep breaths into your hands and heart. And then when you're ready, just take your hands and move your fingers a bit, move your toes and move your legs. Rub your hands down your face if you'd like, along your eyes. And gently come out of the practice. And open your eyes. Reacquaint with your body, with the world around you. And feel your body is the vessel of yourself. So I invite you to do whatever you'd like at this time. If you want to come back and converse and share a bit, if you simply want to rest where you are, that's fine. If you've fallen asleep, that's great. But you can come back and do whatever you want. And if anybody has any questions or feedback or anything, I can hang out here to join you in that.
Jack, thank you. I want to just mention for anyone who has to leave at the top of the hour, that I'll be sending out an email a little bit later today summarizing how we can connect with one another in the small groups and so on. That's what we'll be spending a few minutes doing after this completion time with Jack. So is there anyone who knows that you really do need to go at the top of the hour? It's a gotta go kind of a situation? Okay. Good. Well, I would also open up the conversation. Any sharing that you'd like to mention about this Nourish practice with Jack?
Well, I'd just like to, yes, it was brilliant. And by that, I don't mean intellect, I mean shining. It was a kind of shining.
Thanks, Terry.
I noticed for myself the experience at the core of being guided in this way. It's often a deep experience of the different aspects of myself, that often are on different, they're on different wavelengths in my daily life. My head is going in a different direction than my heart, and I'm unaware of my breathing and so on. And the word that keeps coming up about how it feels to be in this practice is a coherence. There's a coherence between my head, which is calmed down. There's no the monkey mind. My breath is in pace, in sync with the flow of my thought, and my heart is also, it just all seems to be in sync, in a coherence.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of the, that's like the basis of the practice, right? It's just the focus. And what's different about this practice than most meditation practice and mindful practice is that it's really focused on the body. So it's a really embodied practice, and how the mind goes into the body to be present for an experience of the body that itself is regulating and nourishing. And I want to share with everybody that, you know, trauma is a big deal. And so that simply by creating this kind of regulation to whatever degree you're able to experience it, right? So there's no like perfect practice, there's no perfect meditation practice, no perfect way to do anything. So to whatever degree you were able to engage in a way and feel a sense of flow, or feel a sense of you know, deeper connection to your body and release from your mind, that itself is a regulating practice. And trauma is a dysregulation between body and mind, right? So it's an overwhelming experience that dysregulates our thinking and dysregulates our physiology and experience. And so this is a way to begin to reintegrate and to create healing from difficult experiences, even if that's just feeling heartbroken and bent out of shape and distressed about the war, or you know, injustice, or the climate crisis, or anything. And it's a practice. And so when I teach it, it's like there's always this balance between, you know, especially as a first time, like following the instruction and being in the experience, right? So it can be tricky. So I try to strike that balance. But the more that you do it, and the more that you practice any body mind practice, it's like learning yoga, right? You have to learn stuff, and it can be a little tedious at first, but then once you get that in your body and mind, then you can experience it more. So I hope you were able to experience it more and not get too distracted by the instruction part.
Yeah, Nadia, please.
Yes. So I don't know, I had like a pretty tough week, but I really enjoyed it. And I think, like, usually I often, when I'm trying to imagine like a place in nature that I connect to, I get like this sort of pleasure, I think is the word, and I'm thinking about, oh no, but it's all going away, or something's like already not the way it used to be. But I found myself like in this really beautiful kind of space that I don't know, like kind of rainforest, and it was really nice and kind of, I don't know, I think maybe because I'm often so much in my mind, and I feel like time's going so fast and everything. And then when you go kind of a bit out of time, and like time doesn't really exist so much, and then you're like in this kind of other world that is also real, and I don't know how to say it, but it's just like yeah, it was really nice. And to know that I can go there and that it exists. And because I don't know, I think quantum science says that it all exists at the same time, right? So because I think when you're so always like thinking about the climate crisis and everything that's going on, you tend to get very linear and very much like, also in this whole mess that got us into it, like everything's going so fast and you have to do something and you can't do anything. And so it's
Right.
really nice when you connect with the breath and you kind of get into this kind of deeper, maybe wisdom, or also thinking that there's so much we don't know out there and maybe things we've forgotten. And
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Nadia, it's Nadia, right?
Yeah.
You bring up a good point, and you know the all the different components of the practice, right? So the imagery practice is like one part of it, and just the belly breathing is another part of it, and the conscious relaxing of the body, like Shavasana, the second home base, is another part of it. The openness, the first home base, is another aspect of it. And so throughout your day, like you can just, you know, call on any one of those home bases, any one of the aspects of it. You know, if you're feeling distressed, or if you just want, you know, to have a little mini regulation, right? Like if you're at work, or if you're out or running around, or if you're late somewhere and you're rushing, it's like maybe you just go to the nature spot, or you just say, whoa, like just relax, you know? So having that kind of awareness to just call on any one of those aspects can be helpful. Or just, you know, if you're driving somewhere and you're late, right? Like sometimes I hate being late, and just breathing into your belly, doing the belly breathing practice while you're driving, or while you're working, or while you're doing dishes, or whatever. I just have a question for people. Were you able to experience what I was saying? I mean, did that come together for you? Okay, cool. I wonder sometimes, so I try. All right. Anybody else have anything that they want to share, or any questions about the practice? Or
Looks like Fiona.
Yes. Hi. I think really I just want to share that actually, because the practice is so sort of quite profound and very deep, I think that once you come back out of it, it's really difficult to share. So, but I would like to share that, yeah, it was deep and profound. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona.
I was going to say much the same thing. I'm too down-regulated. Normally, I'd have lots of questions, but yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jack, I'd just like to, so please go.
Yeah, just one point. I appreciate those, and I totally understand those. And so, you know, what I invite too is, like, often when I do the practice, I don't want to talk, but it's you can share or talk from that depth, right? And so, like, when I'm actually leading everyone through the practice, I'm kind of in it myself, and sometimes the words that I speak are not exactly linear, and I know that, and it's like poetry in a sense. And so you know, coming out of this, I think part of it too is just, you know, like, just go back to Terry's thing about the coherence and the correspondence, right? The coherence inwardly and the correspondence outwardly is just taking that depth and that sense of profundity and expressing it in the world outwardly, however it wants to come out. And then you become, like, you know, you become a walking poet in a sense.
So this was round one of the self-regulation, co-regulation, resilience skills that we are going to be diving into in this 5-part series. Next week will be quite similar, but in a different dimension of what we are able to perceive. If we could call this one primarily the physical sense of coherence and a physical engagement of that coherence in our experience directly. And next week will be a far more energetic coherence. There'll still be plenty of overlap in this physical coherence. So it will be a familiar space, but there'll be other dimensions brought in as well. And Jack, thank you so much for your work and for coming to be with us today and for offering us this gorgeous taste of your Nourish practice. I'll be sure to include any links that people might be able to use to contact you or the Nourish practice or your website or your book, for that matter. Just thank you so much for sharing so beautifully with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. I just wanted to mention too that like next month, I think I'm going to be leading a whole course. It's called Coming Home to the Body, and it's super comprehensive, and it's about working through pain and working through past trauma in the body, and I use aspects of this Nourish practice, right, which creates a template for inner work. So if people are interested in that, I can let you know about it. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed it and are able to use the practice in whatever way you can. And it's nice to see everybody and to meet everybody. And I hope I see you again somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. All right.